Hello, welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Smash the like button if you love me. Subscribe if you're new. Please have your say. Welcome back. We had a little bit of a power cut, and that's why I suddenly went off air. Cyprus does love its power cuts. That was very frustrating, but I'm back. But it did help me to go on Twitter quickly in between streams and see what else is going on. And I've been seeing a bit more of James Gunn's interview with his good friend Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor in Smallville. And he says there's too many superhero TV shows and films out there right now, and they've also gotten very, very lazy. And I think he's absolutely bang on about that. There are far too many superhero shows and superhero movies. Hollywood's all about trends, but I think he's calling out the MCU, considering in the past few years that DC hasn't really had that much out there. So he's definitely calling out the MCU as far as I'm concerned. And James Gunn is talking a good game, and it kind of makes you wonder what kind of DC universe he's going to give us if he's saying it's become too lazy. There's too many superhero TV shows. There's too many superhero movies out there. Will there be a reduction in output in his DC universe? I assume we'll get about 2 movies a year and probably 2 or 3 or maybe just a couple of streaming shows a year, because I do feel there's too much content out there. And I do feel that he is calling out the MCU. Now, he isn't publicly going to say, I think the MCU's become lazy, and I think there's too many MCU TV shows and movies out there, but it's certainly what he's aiming at. He's certainly not going to be doing what Kevin Feige and Disney have done. They've oversaturated the superhero market over at Marvel Studios, and the people that they've got doing this stuff hasn't been great, because we know the direction Disney are going in. Like She-Hulk, like in comics, is a great character. Even in Agents of Smash, she's very awesome. But that live-action TV show was a propaganda disaster, a PR nightmare. And if you like She-Hulk, that's great. But yeah, I couldn't stomach past 5 minutes of the first episode, and I don't think very many people liked it. So James Gunn is clearly calling out Marvel Studios and the MCU, and he's definitely going to be going at this in a very different way. Hi, Mick. Villager, James Gunn calls out the MCU. Hi, Waj. Yes, so I was live about half an hour ago. I had a power cut, came off. I'm back again. Yes, Villager. James Gunn has done an exclusive interview with his good friend Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor on Smallville, on his Inside of You podcast. And he's made a lot of interesting claims. Abraham Herrera, She-Hulk was silly. That's putting it politely and mildly. Yes, James Gunn, Villager, has said there's too many superhero TV shows and movies out there. He can only be talking about the MCU. He's also said that all these superhero shows and movies have become very, very lazy. So I believe he is calling out the MCU, and I do believe we will have a reduction in content, because I do believe that Marvel have oversaturated the market. And this is what Hollywood do. They're all about trends. In the 80s and 90s, like the strong man, the action hero was very popular, so you just got action movies all the time. It's all about trends. One studio copies and patterns and pastes the other. Waz007, I enjoy She-Hulk. Abraham Herrera, I've got to check out that podcast. Who knew Lex Luthor would have such a cool podcast? He's a great guy, but also, even though he's good friends with James Gunn, he was saying, I'm obviously not the person you're going to cast, and James Gunn was non-committal about that, but he tried to force Gunn into a confirmation about Lex Luthor. If he's going to be in Superman Legacy and his DC universe, he wouldn't confirm, but Lex was saying, please, if you're doing Lex Luthor, Michael Rosenbaum said, if you're doing Lex Luthor, at least make him gritty. Don't make him stupid. Don't make him comical. And he said to Michael Rosenbaum, yes, I would be very faithful to Lex Luthor if I use him. So Rosenbaum doesn't mess about. John, do you think Michael could play Lex again in the new DCU? Look, I'm not going to say no, but he's very, Gunn is very famous for bringing in his own people, working with friends, working with his brother. So I would love it. I think he should have been Lex Luthor in the original DCEU. He's the best Lex Luthor. He played the role brilliantly. He played the nice, amiable Lex brilliantly. Then he played the darker Lex as well, on another level as well. So there's no question Rosenbaum could do this. Whether or not Gunn is willing to use Michael as Lex Luthor, I don't know. It's probably unlikely, but it's something I'm not going to say can't happen, and I'd certainly like it to happen. Villager, I didn't watch She-Hulk. It looks cringe. Yeah, look, it's no good. Listen, if you like She-Hulk, that's good. I congratulate you, but it wasn't for me. And She-Hulk is a great example of the entertainment that not only Disney, that all these studios are putting out today. They attack the fans. They made fun of men. It's sad. I grew up with a great variety and great quality of entertainment with very strong women, by the way. There were many strong women in our entertainment. I grew up with Dallas and Dynasty and Knots Landing. Very strong women, Desperate Housewives, very strong female characters and strong male characters as well, together. Brilliant. And so I don't know what's happened to this industry. I mean, they've all gone nuts since Donald Trump. Hollywood reacted to the election of Donald Trump. I'm not a Donald Trump fan. I'm not a political person. Either way, but this industry has gone nuts. And because of that, they're on their knees financially. They are not making any money because they've been attacking their customers. John Glover was perfect casting for Smallville. John Glover was awesome as the original Lionel Luthor. In the comics, Lex didn't have a father. They never had a Lionel Luthor in the comics. He was original. He was brilliant. He was ruthless. He was a bastard. He was great TV. Abraham Herrera, Michael and Tom break down Smallville episodes on that podcast. I've seen a few episodes. Very cool guys. Yes, the podcast is very good. I watched them when they did the Rosetta episode, the one with Christopher Reeve. And Tom was very, very passionate about it. He spoke about the behind the scenes, how cool Chris was, how impressed he was that such an ill, weak man wanted to stay there until they got it right. And Chris's people and representatives had to threaten to call the police on Chris because he wouldn't leave and he was putting his health at risk. That just sums up what kind of a special guy Christopher Reeve was. Waz 007, John Glover was in Batman and Robin. He was Poison Ivy's first victim, yes. John Glover was in Gremlins. John Glover was in Scrooged with Bill Murray, directed by the late, great Richard Donner, who, of course, gave us Superman the movie, the first movie I ever saw. But, yeah, John Glover's a great guy, and he calls Michael Rosenbaum's son on Twitter. So when he saw that James did the interview with Michael, John said, "Well done, son." John, he was also in Shazam. Yeah, he played Savannah's father, and he was great in that movie. Look, John's always good in everything that he does. Absolutely fantastic guy who's a veteran of television and film. John Glover was a great choice by our Miles. And it's one of those situations where they didn't know if they were going to use him consistently. But he became so popular, he became a regular in season 2. So Lionel Luthor was absolutely a great, ruthless character. And it really, really worked. One of the most powerful things about Smallville was the twisted father-son dynamic between Lex and Lionel. It's one of the reasons I kept on coming back to Smallville. I was obsessed with Smallville. Smallville was my life. As sad and pathetic as that sounds. Waz 007, I wish Christopher Reeve alive. Well, yes, it's very, very sad. But a great guy. did so much for the disabled. His stem cell research, the Christopher Reeve Foundation is still going strong. Amazing man. Kal-El, Mick, I'm back. Hello, Cal. Sorry about that. I had a power cut. It was beyond my control. John, and he voiced the Riddler in Batman, the animated series. Yes, he's had previous DC involvement. He's a big, big DC fan. Charles Austin, Snyder heads, don't sleep on the Flash like you did Black Adam. Snyder heads. Why would Snyder people want to support the Flash movie? Can you explain that, Charles? That Snyder fans are boycotting these DC movies. It's not a Snyderverse movie. Not really. Yes, it's in that universe, but it's not, Henry Cavill isn't in the movie, apart from some old footage from Justice League. But there is a version of Superman that does some very cool stuff. Actually, there's a couple of versions of Superman in the movie, in the cameos. Kal-El, I saw Black Adam 4 times. Look how that turned out. Look, Black Adam was okay. It wasn't brilliant, but it was solid. It was entertaining. It was a good time in the cinema. Check out my non-spoiler review for that. I never did a spoiler review. Couldn't be bothered in the end. Abraham Herrera, Black Adam was overhyped by The Rock, in my opinion. Now, that guy would overhype him sitting on the bog, him sitting on the loo, taking a dump. Kal-El, I was on the fence with The Flash, but I have my ticket for tomorrow. Awesome! Let me know how you get on. Waz 007. If Christopher Reeve was alive, I think would Chris play against Superman? Far too old. I mean, he'd be what? In his late 60s, maybe 70s. He can play Superman now. He probably could have made one more movie about 20 or 30 years ago. But yeah, he wouldn't be playing Superman now, Waz. That's not possible. You've got to move on at some point, right? But yeah, so James Gunn is saying there are too many superhero movies, too many superhero TV shows, and they've all gotten lazy. John, only BVS, Man of Steel, and Justice League was part of the Snyderverse, as Zach's told us and made it clear. So Snyder fans are going to boycott this movie, mostly. Cal's going to go and see it. But, most people, from the Snyderverse community are still very, very angry. And Henry Cavill isn't in any new footage in that movie. So you can understand why people are upset, and the way Henry was treated was very bad. And that's not James Gunn's fault. James Gunn wants to start again. James Gunn wants to start with his own Superman. I can understand that, but they shouldn't have lied to us and told us they were bringing him back just to get people to go and see Black Adam. That was bad. That was wrong. But look at the depths of depravity they've gone to push the Flash movie. Stephen King and Tom Cruise loved the Flash movie. Blah, blah, blah. Best superhero movie ever. Blah, blah, blah. The hype is real. Blah, blah, blah. Waz 007, what happens the Flash and Superman Legacy flop? The Flash movie flopping doesn't matter because it's not James Gunn's movie. Obviously, Superman Legacy was to flop. It would be a big problem for them, and I don't really know what they would do, but we don't know it's going to flop right now, so we will see what happens. Villager, I like how Michael Shannon shaded multiverse movies, and now James Gunn is shading the MCU. I feel like behind the scenes, the MCU is a laughing stock. Look, Villager, empires are destroyed from within. Kevin Feige came up with a very good idea. Not just Kevin Feige, because he was only there in a limited kind of place when the MCU first started, right? They came up with this really good idea, do continuing kind of movies as a part of one universe. But they were making them as proper movies at the beginning. First 2.5 phases were really, really good. Then Disney decided to go on a different tangent, and they basically oversaturated the CBM market on streaming because they were trying to uphold Disney Plus. It hasn't worked for them. Now, nobody really talks about the MCU. The excitement with the MCU isn't there. Secret Invasion is coming. I don't see the excitement, and that's the problem that they have. I think there's a better future for DC coming than for Marvel, because DC are basically admitting that it hasn't worked and they're starting again. They're doing something new. And I think that is kind of, something that we can be excited about. We don't know if it's going to work. We don't know if it's going to be good, but at least it's a new go. It's someone who loves comics. Whatever you think of James Gunn for one reason or the other, you know that James Gunn is a geek. He's a nerd. He grew up watching the shit we did, Knight Rider, The A-Team, Quantum Leap, read comics, loves Scooby-Doo, loves Looney Tunes, grew up with Tom and Jerry. He's one of us. Now, he ain't perfect. I'm not saying that. He can be very egotistical. But I'm not saying I trust him, like, without any doubts or anything, because I've spoken about my kind of concerns about him doing Superman, but I'm going in it all with an open mind, and I will judge it as I consume it, as anyone can do. But I don't have an agenda. I love Snyder. I love what he did, but I'm not going to sit here being stubborn and calling out James Gunn. James Gunn has got to do his thing, and he's going to live or die by the decisions that he makes. The Waz 007, I hope James Gunn do full reboot, new cast. John, I am more interested in the Sony Marvel universe than the MCU. Well, so am I. I felt that way for a very long time. Waz 007, Mick, who cast for Superman Legacy? I have no idea, my friend. They're trying to cast all the characters for that as we speak. So I have no idea. There's lots of leaks and rumors. I don't believe anyone. I don't believe any one of these rumors that's going on. I think Gunn's leaking the wrong information on purpose, as these people do, to take us off the scent. Villager, do you have any intel? What do I have any intel? I have intel on a lot of things, Villager, but what specifically are you asking me if I have any intel on, and I'll say yes or no. But I mean, Charles Austin, Kal-El, sir, Waz 007. Sorry, I mean, who cast Superman? I think that James Gunn has specific ideas on who he wants to cast as Superman. I think he's probably got it whittled down to a couple of people. He may have even already kind of tentatively made a decision. He's not going to admit that. He's already been asked on Twitter if Superman wears the red trunks or not. He says he doesn't know. I don't believe him. I think that Superman will wear the red trunks in Superman Legacy. Villager, any intel on Gunn's plans? Yes, I do have intel about Gunn's plans. I mean, it depends what you're talking about in terms of the movies. But yeah, I think even if I didn't have inside information, I think it's pretty obvious what direction he's going in here. For example, we're not going to get 5 or 6 movies and 4 or 5 Max shows a year. I think we'll get 2 movies a year and maybe a couple of streaming shows a year. He isn't going to oversaturate the market, considering he's accusing the other people of oversaturating the comic book market. Abraham Herrera, what's happened with Henry Cavill? Does he have projects lined up? Henry Cavill, he's got a couple of things coming up. In terms of DC, I still think he may be involved in the new DCEU somehow, the new DC universe, should I say. We may have not have seen the last of him. John, the Sony Marvel universe has got Kraven the Hunter and Venom 3 coming out. Waz 007, Mick, do you remember Land of the Giants TV show? I remember it, but I didn't watch it. I know I've heard of it. Kal-El, the Jack Reacher actor, has to make it to the big screen as a DC character. He has the credentials and physique. Yeah, I mean, if he had the black hair, he'd probably play Superman. I mean, he could also dye his hair, couldn't he? But I'm pretty confident that he could be up for playing Aquaman, because I don't think Momoa will play Aquaman. We were talking about earlier, potentially Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom being shelved, and Sam Dejan Reviews was very angry about that assertion of mine, but I think it's a possibility. As I say, they're not talking about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. James Wan came out a few weeks ago complaining that he can't keep up with all the changes that have gone on, which I think is very interesting. Villager, why is James always online replying to fans? I find it kind of annoying. Not that I don't like updates, but he's ruining the mystery around the new DCU and Superman Legacy. Well, to be honest, Villager, he hasn't really given anything away about Superman Legacy. He's thrown hints out, he's teased comic book panels, but he's not really told us anything. We know that the Authority are most probably going to play a big part in his new DC universe, and they're doing an Authority movie. But apart from that, we really don't know very much about what he's going to do with this Superman movie. Villager, it's the fact that he's constantly teasing what makes it annoying. But audiences like that, Villager. It's hype, it's getting people interested, it keeps the interest going, it keeps the trends going. This is the way entertainment works today. Waz 007, guy played Jack Reacher, can play He-Man live action film. Yes, he'd be very good. It'd be a great He-Man, by the way. I actually like that idea, Waz. I really do. Kal-El, he could, yes, he could definitely do that. But we'll see. But I definitely think they'll recast The Flash. We may not get another Barry Allen. We may get another version of The Flash, which would be pretty cool because there's quite a few versions of The Flash in the comics. Maybe it's time to rest Barry Allen and give us another Flash. What do you think about that? Abraham Herrera, yesterday the Flash premiere happened. Are you aware of Ezra's comments? All I'm aware of is that he was there, he stood on stage, and he thanked a bunch of people, Zach and Deb, Andy Muschietti, James Gunn, Peter Safran. Basically, he thanked everyone. Well, he didn't thank me, but then he doesn't know me, does he? Abraham Herrera, Wally West is the next best thing. Yeah, you could do Wally West, you could do Kid Flash, you could do, there's lots of different things you can do. And James is one of these people who, you know, he understands. This is what I like about Gunn. He understands the comics, but he knows, look, all I can say is about Gunn, I'm not saying he's perfect, but all I say about Gunn, that Guardians 3 has made over 800 million, well reviewed. His comic book movies are well liked. And apart from the Suicide Squad, they're normally successful. Kal-El, will Batman be a fascist in Gunn's DCU? I don't think so, no. Batman will be Batman. James Gunn will give us a lighter Batman because all we've had is dark Batmans, right? There are lighter versions of Batman in the comics. Not everything has to be dark and gritty all the time. And if we've got a dark kind of gritty Batman in the Reeveverse, we don't need another one of the same type in DC Universe. That's why I think they're doing Brave and the Bold. It's a little bit of a more lighter, you know, situation, although Damian Wayne is a darker version of Robin. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do there. Open-minded, I will wait and judge till we get castings, until I consume. I'll judge on consumption. And that's the only way we can do this. I mean, I just don't have an agenda. Abraham Herrera, Batman has always been a dark character. Not always in the comics, my friends. There's versions in the comics, especially with the Batman, you know, the Bat family. There's different versions of Batman, and they're not all dark and brooding. Now, Tim Burton started this dark and brooding stuff. Nolan went on with it. Snyder continued it, and Reeves is doing it. But there are other ways to tell Batman stories. Abraham, imagine a more comedic Batman like Iron Man. I don't know how I'd feel about that. Well, I don't think Iron Man is necessarily comedic. I think he has kind of, you know, he kind of says a few funny things, but I think he can also be a dark character at the same time. John, it's a shame that Grant Gustin is not going to be in the Flash movie. Well, it's very, very disrespectful, isn't it? It's a shame because Grant Gustin really is the Flash. I was watching an old episode today, and in the early days, first few seasons, 2 or 3 seasons, it was absolutely fantastic. And I think to most people, Grant Gustin is more the Flash than Ezra Miller. Waz 007, I'm looking forward Brave and the Bold than Batman 2. I'm looking forward to both. Bat Super, Grant. Waz 007, Tom Cruise near cast play Iron Man. Yes, I know. Villager, I thought he made a cameo. Who? Who made a cameo? Oh, you mean Grant? Well, not in the version we're going to see. Charles Austin, Kal-El. So the problem is with DC fandom today, there's too many people with agendas, and there's a lot of angry people out there. Where I'm at, I just want to see great, awesome DC. And if Gunn can do that for us, that's great. I've got Man of Steel on Blu-ray 4K. I've got all the great movies. You know, I'm not going to say I'm never going to support anything because of the past. Abraham Herrera, I think it's time for Tom Cruise to play a villain. Was 007 Grant is better than Ezra? I think so. Grant Gusting's done it. He's got the t-shirt. He's been absolutely fantastic as far as I'm concerned. Great guy, never broken the law as far as I know. That does help, doesn't it, when you're playing a hero? Blue Beach Animator, hit the like button. Thank you, Blue Beach Animator. Quite right. There's 11 of you in there. Imagine if all 11 of you, or 9 of you, because 2 of you have actually hit it, actually hit the like button. Don't be tight. Be friendly. Be nice. Smash the like button. Show me that you love me. Show me the money. No, the like button doesn't make me any money. I'm not monetized, so don't worry. This channel will never, ever make any money. Waz 007, maybe Tom Cruise play Lex Luthor. No thanks, Waz. Waz, I just hit the like button. Thank you very much. No, there's plenty of good actors out there. Tom Cruise, now 60 years old. Now, Vincent D'Onofrio, who plays Kingpin in the MCU, he would be an epic Lex Luthor. I'd be very, very happy with that. And one thing's for sure, Jesse Eisenberg won't be playing Lex. Kal-El, Tom Cruise would be a good older Lantern, given his Top Gun arc. Abraham Herrera, Grant is a family man, married, and I think has a little girl. It's the lonely ones that go rogue. Well, actually, yes, he's a good guy, and he's a Superman fan, by the way, a big Superman fan. So, yes, he's a great guy. Bat Soup. I don't think it's about being lonely, Abraham. I don't think it matters if you're married or not. Depends on the kind of person and history. I mean, we don't know what Ezra's gone through in their lives. I mean, started off as a child actor. Who knows what crap he's put up with in that industry? But that doesn't excuse what they've done. Waz 007, Zachary Quinto, great choice for Lex Luthor. Zach is a brilliant actor. I think he's a great contemporary Spock. I think he was great as Sylar in Heroes. Very, very good actor. He would be a great choice for Lex Luthor. I wouldn't be complaining about that. He's so good. And he can play. He's an actor who can play any characterization. I really like Zach Quinto. Great lad as well. Very good. Very professional. You know, there's a lot of good people out there. And as I say, I mean, I have noticed over on Twitter, they're leaking the ending of The Flash. I don't know if you all know what the ending of The Flash is, but it's a certain version of Batman, which means Ezra Miller is trapped in a universe that isn't James Gunn's DC universe. It looks like Mr. Gunn has dumped our Barry Allen somewhere he can't get out from. Bat Super, I wonder when we will get a release date for Batman Caped Crusader very soon. John, did Heroes get cancelled? Yes, Heroes had about 3-4 seasons. It came back after the writer's strike, didn't do very well originally back in the day. And then they did Heroes Reborn, that didn't do very well either. For me, Heroes had a great Heroes and Lost are very, very similar to me. They had a great first season, and I think they should have been limited series for their own sake. Villagers. So Ezra won't return as the Flash. I think the way James will sell it is that one day we may revisit, but I do expect Ezra Miller to say he's not coming back as the Flash and he's going to take a break from acting. I think that's what the kind of bullshit we'll get. But he's been dumped in the George Clooney universe. George Clooney isn't James Gunn's Batman. And interestingly, even more intriguing, Jason Momoa's Aquaman is in a post-credit scene, which means he's in the Clooney universe as well somehow, which makes me have doubts about the future of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and his own future as Aquaman going forward. Kal-El, Joe Morton is an underrated actor. He was superb as Silas Stone in Zack Snyder's Justice League. He's an amazing actor. He's been in a lot of good stuff, obviously Terminator as well. Abraham Herrera, Heroes suffered from the writer's strike in 2008, I think. It came back for a second season. The problem, let me explain to you. Heroes is the kind of concept that works in the first season. They dealt with Sila, and then they were just trying to drag it out because it was successful. One limited series, like Lost, should have been one limited series, right? And in the end, you contrive things, you make people angry, and people stop watching. And that's the problem. It's like Smallville. Should have just been around for 5 seasons, and then the other 5 seasons should have been a Metropolis show. But Tom wouldn't wear the costume. So in the end, we had a decade of pre-Superman, and it went on for too long. Villager, if that's the ending of The Flash, that's hilarious. Ha ha ha. They just dumped them in another universe. We'll never see. Yeah, you can thank James Gunn. That was James Gunn's idea. James Gunn knows exactly what he's doing. He ain't going to put up with any of this shit. Abraham Herrera, the cliffhanger is the first season was amazing, and then second season was disappointing. Yet one limited series would have done it. Bat super. I love George Clooney as Batman in Batman and Robin. I feel like I am one of the few who feel like that. Well, let me explain to you how I feel about it. Batman and Robin is a campy, entertaining film. It's not the greatest film ever, but it's entertaining. You pay your ticket, you have a good time. But it's not great, but it's entertaining. So I never hated it. In fact, I think the opening is great. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't very popular. Villager, I wanted Arnold to come back as Mr. Freeze. A Freeze is coming. I hated when people talk during the movie. John, did you ever watch the TV series Mutant X? I didn't. That's one series I never watched. It was quite popular, though, or did it just last for one season? I can't remember. No, I didn't watch that one. There's a lot of shows I did watch, not that one. Waz 007, Batman and Robin is better than Spider-Man 3. Oh, I don't agree with that, Waz. Abraham Herrera, the girl who played the cheerleader, disappeared. She was a good actress. She's actually been doing a few things since. She's not, she's not hitting the high notes, but she's been out there and been doing a few things. I think, Abraham, you just liked seeing her in that cheerleader outfit, didn't you? I mean, we all did. I definitely wouldn't mind saving the cheerleader to save the world. Sorry, actress who played her. I'm an old perv, what can I say? Waz 007, Batman and Robin was a rush job. Yeah, listen, it wasn't the best, but I still found it entertaining. It had a lot of good actors in it as well, by the way. But that's what they wanted. That's what happened. Once you get rid of Tim Burton, he wanted to come back to make a third movie after Batman Returns, and they wouldn't allow it. So this is what happens. You make it more campy, you try and make it more general audience friendly, and this is what happens. John, she was in the latest Scream movie. That's right. I'm sure she'll never see how I sexualized her a minute ago, hopefully. Hello, Fair. I hope you didn't see what I was doing earlier. This is my niece, Fair. Hello, how are you, sweetheart? I didn't do nothing. Kal-El, isn't she Klitschko's wife? I have no idea. Bat super. Speaking of Schumacher, Batman, do you think Kevin Smith having a copy of the Schumacher Cut might mean WB is testing to see if there is excitement for it? Oh, definitely. They're desperate to make money. That movie will be released, and it will be released before the haircut ever is. Villager, who's Jenna Ortega? She's an actress. Random. No, just joined. Glad to see you, Phil. Love you. That's super. Hayden Pantanera, I would too. Abraham Herrera, Batman and Robin is the equivalent of Justice League. People protested Batman Returns being too dark and bad for the children. And this is what happens. History repeats itself. Gabriel Sin on us. Hi, it's Maria. Love you. Love you, Maria. Good to hear from you. Long time. Can't wait to see you when you come to Cyprus. Villager, Batman Returns is still the best Batman film. Tim Burton will never be topped. Yeah, it's a brilliant Batman film, and all those idiots calling it overstuffed don't know what they're talking about. Brilliant, brilliant actors. Danny DeVito's Penguin is outstanding. And like Zack Snyder, Tim Burton made these characters his own. He made his own versions, and that's okay. That's what it's all about. But people don't get it. If it's not exactly like the source material, people get angry. Abraham Herrera, just like Zack Snyder's Justice League, is way better than most superhero films. Exactly. But too many comic book fans get angry if someone does something and makes something their own. That's the problem when you're dealing with iconic characters. You know, people have certain opinions in the way they should be. John, Batman Forever is a great movie. I do like Batman Forever. I think if Kilmer was in Batman and Robin, and I think Schumacher had problems with him and they parted company, but I think if Kilmer was in Batman and Robin, Kilmer would have made sure it wasn't as campy, because Batman Forever was slightly less campier than Batman and Robin. And I think Clooney was an absolute mistake. Clooney knows that now. Everybody knows it, but it's all right speaking after the horse is bolted, isn't it? But I think it's okay. I think, look, Batman and Robin flopped. It's as simple as that. Batman Forever made a lot of money, by the way. But Tim Burton, there was nothing wrong with what Tim Burton was doing. But these people are greedy. And in the end, what happens to their greed? They got rid of Burton. Batman Forever did okay. But then they went to Batman and Robin, took it a step too far, and the movie flopped. If they kept Burton in, he would have made 5 or 6 epic Batman movies. Abraham Herrera, Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy was delicious to watch. I thought her performance was absolutely fantastic. I thought she was a very good Poison Ivy. But super. Batman Forever had the perfect blend of 60s Batman and 90s darker Batman. Yes, I agree. It was like that. John, Batman Forever has got a great soundtrack. Yes. I mean, to be honest with you, normally I'm all about the composed symphonic score. I prefer that than mixtapes and songs. But I must admit, it did have a selection of really great tunes in that movie. Waz 007, Joel and Val did not like each other. That's right, they didn't. And I think that was the problem in the end. But I think Val Kilmer not coming back really did hurt Batman and Robin. But even worse, they cast... Basically, George Clooney was the darling of Hollywood then. He was getting all the work. It was a mistake. It happened. What can you do? Hollywood are obsessed with trends, and that's the problem. Blue Beetle animated. Maybe we could have had a cinematic universe in the 90s. Well, Tim Burton wanted to make a third Batman film. He nearly made that Nicolas Cage Superman movie. So he would have made his own cinematic universe. Again, DC fans lose out from Warner Brothers. Horrible. They've been horrible custodians to DC. And hopefully now with James Gunn, that can change. But who knows? Open-minded though. Let's see what we get. But they have been absolutely terrible custodians. But saying that, we've still had some pretty decent DC movies. The movies that I think are okay: Superman, Superman 2, Superman 3 is solid. Batman 89, Batman 92, Batman Forever's kind of okay, right? We've already discussed that. The Batman, the Dark Knight trilogy, Superman Returns is solid at the very least. Man of Steel BVS, the Snyder Cut, Joker, the Batman. So there have been some very good films in there. I've probably missed loads out as well. So they have been terrible custodians, but by accident sometimes they've got it right as well. Was 007, I remember back 96, Nick Cage cast for Superman. Yes, he was. And you will see him as Superman in the Flash movie for a quick few seconds. And it's pretty awesome. That's actually my favourite moment. It's pretty awesome. I'm just intrigued with bated breath to see how well or how badly the Flash movie does in terms of financials. I'm very interested. But WB have put a lot of effort into selling this movie. So it's either going to exceed expectations or it's going to land exactly on the soft expectations and projections we've been seeing. But as we know, you're only as good as your last movie, and the past 5 have flopped. And I'm not talking about Joker and the Batman. Was 007? Imagine Tim Burton made Batman versus Superman back in the 90s. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think having Batman up against Superman is the best of ideas. Now, Wolverine versus Hulk, that's a good idea. That makes sense. Batman and Superman should be allies. I mean, like, they bitch at each other, right? Like we see sometimes in the animation or the comics. But versus, I don't get that. But Zack Snyder didn't want a Batman versus Superman. He wanted to make that movie, but he didn't want to call it Batman versus Superman. It sounds like a WWF brawl, not a fucking movie with 2 of the biggest iconic characters in fiction. It was a dumb idea from the beginning and had nothing to do with the movie Zack was attempting to make. He didn't want that title. Abraham Herrera, Andy has been promoting it in Latin America since he speaks Spanish. I really hope people support him and the wonderful cast because they deserve it. Ezra is just rock in a bowl of rice. Yeah, listen, I've said it. What Ezra Miller did, all the things they're accused of, is a separate subject, right? The movie is entertaining. The movie will entertain people, right? Now, the CGI is slightly ropey. I think mostly people are not happy with the CGI. Excuse me. People are not happy with the CGI because there's a lot of it. But it's that type of movie. John, out of all the 80s cartoons, Transformers has lasted still to this day. I mean, I did like Transformers as a kid, but I preferred Masters of the Universe. That was my favourite one. And I like the film as well, by the way. I thought it's pretty cool, considering its flaws. Was 007, Tom Cruise would be great Hal Jordan, Green Lantern in the 90s. Yes, maybe. I'm not really one for putting big stars in these comic book roles. I prefer unknowns. Otherwise, it's Tom Cruise as Hal Jordan rather than an unknown actor bringing Hal Jordan to life. I think too many times fans are so obsessed with famous fan casting. Cast someone you don't know, then they can, step their way, fill their way into the character. That's my preference. I don't want famous people as Batman. I don't want famous people as Superman. Famous people can play the villains and the smaller parts, like they did in Superman the movie, like they did in Batman Begins. Neeson was a great Ra's al Ghul, even though they got the name wrong and they would call him Raz. But it was a good little twist in the end as well. Shouldn't have killed him off, though. He should have been in the other 2 movies, even though he was in the 3rd movie, wasn't he? Was 007 Masters of the Universe underrated film? I love it. I think it's great. It's the best thing we've had since the brilliant 80s animated series. I really like the animated series. I know it's very, very cheap and they use the same music and the same movements, but it was cool. As a kid, I really liked it and I always enjoyed the moral lessons in the end. Maybe I should do that at the end of each video. Abraham Herrera, how that's how it used to be. Remember, today wasn't very well known when he was cast. Also, the X-Men, the most famous one was Halle Berry. Well, yeah, because I mean, obviously Sir Patrick Stewart was from Star Trek, but we knew him. I didn't know Sir Ian McKellen, and Sir Ian McKellen was doing Lord of the Rings and X-Men really back to back. But yeah, most of the people in that film weren't well known, and that was a good thing. No one had heard of Hugh Jackman. Excellent Wolverine. And there's a great story there. Despite Bryan Singer's many crimes, he was obsessed with Superman the movie. So Hugh Jackman wasn't getting it one day when they was near the Statue of Liberty in that scene in the first film. So he forced Jackman to keep on watching Superman the movie when Superman turns the world on its axis, and he got a performance out of him because of that. Kal-El, the morals at the end of cartoons is what's missing today. Unfortunately, if they had moral lessons today, they'd be shitting on us men. Kal-El is the characters. Kal-El, the characters broke the fourth wall to give children a quick lesson. Special era, but they weren't bashing you over their head with the lessons. If they did that today, it will be different. Whaman, you know. Men are bad, men are pigs, you know. This is where we are today. It's bad today. That's why there's a divide in the world we live in, because everyone's so extreme with their views. It's very, very sad how angry everyone is. Everyone is too angry. People are not chilling out. It's not good, is it? Villager, it's not that men are bad, it's that men are finally being held accountable. Men are being held accountable, my friend, but women are not. Men can't wolf whistle women, it's illegal, but women can wolf whistle men. And I've seen them do it on plenty of occasions. It's one rule for women now and another rule for men. And that isn't right. And sometimes men are being falsely accused and being jailed and having their reputations destroyed on a woman's say-so. So it isn't as black and white as that, Villager. Okay? Waz 007, I got Still He-Man Hartoon VHS tape. Awesome. Kal-El, men are still good. We are. We're flawed. Men are flawed. Women are flawed. Sometimes we do good things as human beings, and sometimes we do not so good things. That's all human beings. And putting everyone in a box and saying men are bad, but women are good, or minorities are good, and straight white males are bad is thick extremist behavior, and that's why we've got a divide today. And it's this simplistic generation. That's why America are fighting World War III in the Ukraine, because this dumb Gen Z generation are never going to win a war. You know, look at what the lads did in the Second World War. We don't have a generation who could win a Second World War. They're pussies, aren't they? Crying, offended. Putin, I hate Putin. Oh no, how dare you do this, Putin? I'm offended. So that's the kind of world we live in, a fucked up world. Parents want to protect their kids from everything, from the real world. So when they go into the big world, they haven't got any life experience. They can't handle what's thrown at them. The world will never be an oasis. People will not behave like it's an oasis. People are people. People are real. And you can't turn people into robots. Kal-El, World War veterans receive 1 day of celebration. Pride gets a month. That's where we are today. Good luck to the Pride. Hey, I back the Pride celebrations, but you do make a good point there. I'm not anti-LGBTQ. I'm not anti-minority. I'm not anti-anything. I love everyone, right? But the point is, it's become too gaslighting, hasn't it? It's become, basically, it's the extreme left. It's not the LGBTQ community's fault. The extreme left are using these communities to gaslight their extremism and their hatred for straight white men. They don't really care about minorities or the LGBTQ community. It's propaganda to hide with hatred. They don't care about women or women's rights or how women are treated. It's just a way to hurt the patriarchy. John, do you think we will ever get a new live-action Masters of the Universe movie? As far as I know, Netflix are actually developing one and making one, John. That's what I heard anyway. So that's definitely happening. But considering the shit Kevin Smith did with that animated series where they had He-Man as a guest star in his own series, I mean, I wouldn't have any trust in them. Waz 007, war never good. War isn't good, but sometimes it happens. And you need a generation, you need a society who's ready. We can't stop Putin being a nutter. Do you get what I mean? And we may have to defend ourselves, but this generation are not prepared to go in bunkers every time there's an air raid. That's what I'm trying to say. Because they've been fed too much sugar, they're too pampered, and, you know, this is where we are today. I see them all on TikTok. They have got no idea how the real world works because they live in an artificial internet society. They barely go out in the real world. They don't understand the harshness of the world. Charles Austin, can we just get back to entertainment and stop talking about this political, but left, right, centre, all of them are nuts in my book. I agree, Charles. I think someone got me onto the subject, so I responded. Kal-El, Charles. I mean, I agree with you. But if people bring stuff up or say something that I have to respond to, I have to respond to it. And this is what we do. We'll basically talk about anything on this live show in the evening. But in the morning, when we do the DC Universe Daily, we talk about DC. But mostly I want to talk about entertainment on this channel anyway. But unfortunately, entertainment and politics have been put under the same banner. Unfortunately, I don't believe in this political system. I'd rather have anarchy because this system is fucked. It doesn't work. Whether you're left, right, in the middle, up front, down the centre, don't matter. None of it works, right? And I'd rather live outside of that system because they're just trying to shove people. Yes. So let's get back to entertainment. Kal-El, it's amazing how the reception of Superman in BVS was similar to the real world reactions to the Snyderverse. Yes. And as Kevin Costner's John Kent said in Man of Steel, people hate what they don't understand. Charles Austin, anarchy, yes. Now we're talking. Basically, Club Tropicana drinks are free. Everyone gets to party, have sex, smoke, have a good time, chill out. Waz 007, rumour reboot Police Academy. No. Leave Police Academy alone. Police Academy has got to be an unpolitically correct thing that upsets everyone, like it did originally, right? It's got to be leave Police Academy alone. Just leave it alone, right? Imagine the woke shit they would turn that into. No, thank you. Leave it alone. Kal-El, Police Academy, please leave that alone. Exactly. Leave the classics alone. But I don't care if they make another Police Academy because I won't touch that shit anyway. Fine, I'll just mock it. That's what laughing emojis were mocked for. And for the reason the Goodfellas gift was made for, so I can use it on every shitty piece of news that comes up on my Twitter feed. Kal-El, leave Back to the Future alone too. Yeah, well, at the moment, Zemeckis and Spielberg are not letting them do nothing with it, but eventually it will happen. Abraham Herrera, hey, Mick, did you notice how The Rock went crying back to Vin Diesel to give him a job after he burned all the bridges he had in Hollywood? Yeah, and I don't think they were getting on at one point, were they? Not that The Rock gets on with anyone. Basically, The Rock's fucked. The Rock, I mean, his show's been cancelled as well, The Young Rock, which I never watched, to be honest with you. I didn't mind the Super Pets movie, though. I thought that was pretty cool. I think Super Pets was a better movie than Black Adam. He definitely wanted his own corner in the DC universe, but Gunn was having none of it. Blue Beetle Animated, does anyone find it funny how the same people that criticise Man of Steel collateral damage in the fights praise the DC animations? Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose animation's slightly different, but I get what you're saying. Kal-El, the Young Rock was cancelled. Yes, as far as that's what I heard the other day, I think. I'm afraid so. Not that I care because I don't watch it. And Gotham Knights has been cancelled as well. And I think that comes as a shock to absolutely no one. Villager, hey Mick, will you watch the Meg 2, the trench starring Jason Statham? I haven't even seen the Meg 1, my friend, so I think it's very unlikely I bother with the sequel. I don't even know what it's about. Charles Austin, they also praised the MCU and the collateral damage caused by the Avengers too. Oh yeah, well it's different when it's DC, isn't it? Everything's different when it's DC. The agenda we had from MCU stands during Man of Steel, and it's just pathetic. Man of Steel was a great movie, and tomorrow it'll be exactly 1 year in Europe since Man of Steel was released. So what's tomorrow? The 14th of June. So 14th of June over here in Europe, Man of Steel was released. Decade. And we'll be talking about it tomorrow on the DC Universe Daily, and I'll be watching it tomorrow. It's a great movie. And yes, the CGI of Man of Steel is 20 times better than the Flash movie made to be released in 2023. But Man of Steel was beyond its time. It's a great contemporary Superman movie. Waz 007, Man of Steel is a great film. It certainly is, my friend. I think so anyway. I can only give you my opinion. I know some people, a lot of people don't like that film. I do. I think it's great. Zack Snyder's films will stand the test of time, even if he never makes a DC movie again. He made 3 brilliant movies that many people like. Man of Steel is a great film. Villager, Cavill is too old now. Villager, no, he's not. He's 40 years old, my friend. That ain't old. Have you seen the man? The man looks fucking amazing. He's not too old to do one more Superman film, to let him finish off his arc, but it's never going to happen. It doesn't matter what I say. He's done, isn't it? Abraham Herrera, the Snyder movies will be remembered like how we remember Batman and Batman Returns today. At the time, they were hated. Now they are classics. I never hated them when they were first out. I know some did, but I know what you mean. Charles Austin, please tell me why MOS VFX still looks good and the Flash's VFX, well, I can't explain how we're and it's not just DC, it's the MCU and it's all films today. The CGI is so shoddy. I think it's time to do as much as possible in camera and just use CGI when you really can't do something physically. I think it's time to start doing that. Blue Beetle Animated, the same people now complain that the backgrounds in DC fight scenes are too boring. Waz 007, when watch Man of Steel at Full House? John, Man of Steel and Dawn of the Dead are my favourite Zack Snyder movies. My favourite Zack Snyder movies, what are they? Man of Steel, definitely. Batman, look, I think equally, his 3 DC movies are up there. I'm not really a Watchmen comic book fan, so I'm not that into his Watchmen, but I do think it's a really good film. I like 300 and I like the zombie movie Dawn of the Dead, but I'd say my favourite films from his are his DCEU trilogy. Villager, Davy Jones CGI from Dead Man's Chest still looks amazing and he makes huge face expressions. Yes, we just goes to tell you how is it that they're making the poor VFX artists do too much work with not enough help, or is it the quality of the artists themselves has gone downhill? I mean, I don't know that. Someone, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to VFX artists because I know they're treated like slaves these days, but it's not good, is it? Waz 007, Henry Cavill is my favourite actor. I like him. He's not my favourite actor, but I do like him. Waz 007, I hope Henry Cavill next James Bond. I don't think so, but who knows? I don't even think they've even started the process of casting Bond. I think it's pathetic, if you ask me. John, would you count Wonder Woman as a Zack Snyder movie? Oh yes. What I would say about Wonder Woman is that he made that film alongside Patty Jenkins, and she didn't make that film on her own. All the choreography, all the great action was done by him. He co-wrote the movie with a Wonder Woman comic book writer who he brought on board. It was his movie. It was more his movie than it was Patty's. She clearly was part of the directing team. And obviously, his name was never going to be on as a director. But when we see that bit when she's, fighting the bullets, that brilliant sequence, which I forgot the name for, No Man's Land, that's Zack Snyder. That's got Zack Snyder written all over it. Waz, Mick, who favourite actors? My favourite actors, Kevin Costner, Robert De Niro, what's his bloody name? Al Pacino, Russell Crowe. I grew up with a lot of great actors. Abraham Herrera, the problem with VFX is that more movies have more VFX, but the VFX companies don't get enough budget or time to polish the scenes. In the early 2000s, they had time, much less VFX shots. The thing is, that is the problem. There's more and more VFX shots, but they haven't got the manpower to do them. But do you need as many VFX shots? What I'm saying is, if you can do something physically without CGI, why not do it? But there's no pride in the art form. It's about getting it on the conveyor belt, getting it made no matter what it looks like, and those idiots will go and watch it. And it's not working out that way. It's one of the many reasons this industry is on its financial knees. Villager, I agree. I think they omitted his work on Wonder Woman because of that bad PR surrounding him. Well, I don't just think it's that, Villager. I think the fact is they wanted to sell this as a female-directed movie. So he did all the donkey work, and they put her name on it. And she wouldn't have been exposed, but she made Wonder Woman 84. So we know she's not a very good director in terms of a blockbuster. She sacked all his VFX team, which is the best VFX team in the business, by the way. And he did. So basically, you could tell how bad a director she was in Wonder Woman 84. That's what exposed her. At first, I thought, wow, Patty Jenkins, she's amazing. I had no clue. It's only afterwards I saw Wonder Woman 84 and I thought, bloody hell, Zack did that movie, didn't he? Jesus Christ. Zack didn't choose Patty Jenkins. Jeff Johns did. Zack Snyder chose another female director, and she had creative differences with W.B. Johns and Berg, so they got rid of her. That's why Johns and Jenkins wrote Wonder Woman 84 together, because he chose her as a director. She was never Zack's choice. Was 007. My favourite actors, David Hasselhoff and Jackie Chan and Harrison Ford, Dean Cain. Blue Beach Wanimator. Let's say that again. Kal-El, render times are the problem. That's why James Cameron takes so long to make Avatar. But at the end, the result is worth it. It absolutely is. Abraham Herrera, I never understood why the studios spoil their actors on set so much. A lot of the budget goes to pleasing talent. If you make so much money as an actor, at least have the balls to not be a diva on set. It's the industry they're in, my friend. It's all about, they're attention seekers. They are divas, and they're very difficult to deal with because they do think there's something they're not. I've been around these people, and the egos are so big, you can't get in the same room as them. Waz 007, Alexandra Daddario, better choice for Wonder Woman than Gal. I think Gal is a wonderful Wonder Woman. She works. I don't think she's necessarily a great actor, but as Wonder Woman, especially when she's directed by Snyder, she does a good job and she works. And the accent helps as well. So I think she's a perfect Wonder Woman. I'm not too sure she's going to continue as Wonder Woman. That's another situation that will be very, very interesting. I definitely think that Momoa is done as Aquaman. I will repeat myself there. A couple of more comments before I sign off for tonight. It's been a great double chat. We had one, then we eventually had a good chat when everyone started coming in. Then I had a blackout. Then we came back, and it was really, really cool. I will read a couple more of your comments if you're interested in posting. But it has been a great live. John, Gal was not even there for Shazam 2. I know. And Sandberg lied. The director, David F. Sandberg, when he was accused of this on Twitter, lied that she was there. That's how bad these people are, John. Abraham Herrera, their trailers are expensive. Their food is expensive. They have PAs and stuff. If I made millions from a movie, I'd be happy sitting on the sidewalk in between scenes. I know. It is absolutely ridiculous, and I agree with you. Sam Dejan reviews. I want Alexandra Daddario for Zatanna. Hopefully, James Gunn does give us a Zatanna. J.J. Abrams was going to do Justice League Dark. He was going to do Zatanna, but all that's been canned now. Hopefully, James Gunn is planning to do something there. I don't think J.J. Abrams will be involved with WB at all. We still don't know what's going on with this Black Clark Kent. That's another interesting situation. Where am I? Waz Doublet, I hope Gal recast for Wonder Woman. I think it's more than likely that that will be the case. We will see. Sanders Hughes, J.J. Abrams has a show for Max. Yeah, it ain't DC though. Whatever he's doing, he isn't long for his lifespan at WB. The deal just hasn't worked out. I mean, Zaslav's been very public about his disdain on the Bad Robot deal. Sam Hughes, JJ's producing Constantine 2. Well, they don't even know if Constantine 2 is still happening, Sam. So now Keanu Reeves is saying he's not even sure if that's going to happen. Things have changed since James Gunn has come into the mix. We will see. We will see. I don't think it's going to happen. We will see. I don't know. All I can do is guesstimate. Abraham Herrera, where am I? What did he do with millions? J.J. Abrams was given. He probably spent it on a very expensive packed lunch. I don't know. Sam Hughes, Constitute can be an Elseworld. It can be. We will see. Villager, I feel like WB don't even have a plan for DCEU. I still don't think James Gunn knows what he's doing. I think he has an idea of what he wants to do. Whether it's a good plan or it works, we can't judge that until we see it. Sam Hughes, I think after the success of John Wick 4, they will do Constantine 2. That will mean WB are logical. So, John, great to have the lives back, Mick. Glad you enjoyed it. Abraham Herrera, Chad Stileski should direct Constantine 2. Chad's an amazing director, and I'd like to see him do something. And I think in terms of action, an action superhero movie, a bit like, I think he'd do a great Batman. But apparently we're getting Andy Muschietti, which is interesting. I think he would make a great Batman movie. And I think some people would even like Keanu as Batman. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Where's 007? I hope DC gets sold Comcast. Anything's possible in this game, my friend, especially with the financial crisis in the entertainment industry right now. Reno Jack, Mick is live and I missed it. It's tragic. It is a bit of a tragedy. Good to see you, Reno. Sanjay Hughes, I want Guillermo del Toro to do Justice League Dark. He was going to do it in the DCU, then they cancelled it. That would be awesome. I love him. Villager, Keanu fanboys cast as him anything, even when it doesn't fit. True. Abraham Herrera, the fat guy in the last John Wick was like a Batman villain. I think Hurley from Lost should be the Penguin. Jorge Garcia, that's the guy. Get him in. Get him in as the Penguin. Hey, dude. Right, everyone, we're going to wrap things up. If I happen to see any more comments before I wrap it up now, I shall, of course, read them out. It's been a great night. Thank you for coming in. Very much appreciated. And as long as people come in the volume they have done, eventually, we will continue the lives. If no one comes in, we can't do the lives because there's no point. You're what the lives are all about. So please smash the like button if you love me. Please have your say. Please subscribe if you're new and you've enjoyed the conversation we've had tonight. Waz007, thanks, Mick. No, thank you very much for coming in and keeping the conversation going, Waz. I'm grateful to everyone who has interacted tonight, everyone who supports the channel. Thank you very much, Waz007. I really enjoy a live stream, Mick. Good, and you're welcome. And as long as people come in, I will keep on doing them. So until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for the support. See you soon. Be good. If you can't be good, just be bad as long as you get away with it. See you later.